All right, so if you all can grab a block and have it just nearby, we'll do universal settings and 1.5 springs. Feel free to let me know if you have any requests in the chat comments area. And if you have questions, you can always put them there, or you can unmute yourself and ask a question. All right, so we're gonna start sitting with your legs straddling the reformer and sit pretty far forward towards the spring edge of the carriage. So we're gonna work on spinal mobility and some hip exercises and kind of get our glutes going today. But we're always trying to get the whole body moving and strengthen the whole body. So that's gonna be part of it. So push out against the foot bar and hinge forward. And if that's too heavy and you can't push it out, then you need to lighten it. So lengthen through your spine, push the carriage away, let your feet slide along the floor, kind of flatten your torso as much as you can. Press into your arms a little bit more, so you're kind of stretching the skin of the back of the body, and then round your back and bring the carriage back in. And one more time like that, push out, hinging forward, push, push, push through the arms. Feel like you let your shoulders go up a little bit towards your ears, stretching the armpits and the side of the rib cage, and then round and bring it back in. And then take and reach one arm up overhead. The other hand can stay on the bar and side bend towards away from the hand that's lifted, bring it up and then switch and go the other way. And start to kind of pick up the speed of that. Side bend and lift up and side bend and lift up and side bend. Nice. And side bend on your next one, grab a hold of the silver part of the bar and pull back against it. So you're pulling and pushing at the same time. You can turn your ribs a little more to the ceiling. You can round your lower back, whatever feels good to you. And then lift up and switch over to the other side. And push, pull, feeling, rounding through the ribs, rotating the rib cage a little bit one way, then the other. And then coming back up. One more time, you're gonna push the carriage out, flatten through the torso, and stay there. See if you can lift your heart and sternum a little bit forward so you go into extension. Keep the extension and lift the carriage up and in. Keep the extension to push out. Keep the extension to come back in. So you're feeling like you're kind of arcing over a ball behind you. And as you get to the top of the motion, you can kind of push down into the arms to lift up and back a little further. Good. One more time. And lift up and back a little bit further. Good. Then you're going to come onto your hands and knees. Shift your weight back and just push down into the hands, round through the spine. Do this standing if it's better for your body. And push down into the hands to round through the spine. And return twice more, just getting the spine moving, opening up through the lower back. And lengthening back out. And one more time, opening through the back. And lengthening back out. Slide off to one side of the reformer, like you're gonna do your single thigh stretch. Push the carriage out, opening through the back hip. Find the extension through the spine. So you're lifting the back of your head up and back. And as the carriage comes in, try to extend a little bit more. So like the whole front of your body is kind of bowing forward and back. Yeah, exactly. So you're not flexing as you go forward. That looks beautiful, Anita. You're trying to stay in the extension the whole time. This is related to our down stretch. One more time, opening up the front of the body as you pull the carriage back in, and then slide off to the other side. And pressing out, find that big lunge position. Lift the front of the pelvis. Feel like you're pushing your hips towards the foot bar as the carriage comes in. Opening up through the front of the body. Yeah, beautiful. So it should feel like you're not just bending, but you're carving your body around a sphere, meaning you kind of got to feel like you're going up and around as you come up. Up and around, exactly. That's good, Carrie. Keep your head up and back as you come in. Last one. And then come off of there. Take and switch to spring tension that you'll be able to use for sitting facing forward with the straps in your hands. So one red would be the heaviest I'd recommend. A half spring might be more comfortable. I'm going to be sitting on my knees like I am right now. If you'd be more comfortable sitting cross-legged, sitting with your legs out in front of you on a platform, any of those options is totally fine with me. And reach your arms forward. So half spring feels pretty light. We're going to be going forward up towards the ceiling and circling around. Pressing forward up towards the ceiling and circle around. If you're close to the right spring tension, if you scooched forward a little bit, it would make it a little lighter. If you have the straps that have the double handle, then you could use the smaller one would make it heavier. The bigger one would make it lighter. Nice. Press forward, lift up overhead, circle around, keeping tension in the rope the whole time. Pressing forward, up and around. And trying to keep the torso vertical. One more time like this. And then if you'd like to add to this, you can tuck your toes under at the shoulder rests and start the same way. Press forward. It gets heavier the higher you get up off of the carriage. So if it ends up being too heavy, you can always lighten it. Nice. If you would like to add to that, press forward as you lift up. Sit down as you come back around. Obviously, being thoughtful about how you're moving so you're keeping your balance. Yeah. And if you need to change the springs, just know that it gets a little less stable as it gets lighter, so be careful. Press forward and around. Forward and around. A few more like this. Two more. And last one. And press your arms forward, come up onto your knees, bring your hands behind your head and go into your salute. So your hands are coming close to behind your head as they can. And as you're bending and straightening the elbows, you're trying to push through the arms. Push and pull. Yeah, nice. Elbows are up. You, of course, could be sitting down lower if you wanted to. Elbows are staying in the same position. You're trying to stay vertical. Last three. Last one. Keep the arms straight. Once the arms are straight, reach them, sweep them forward to come out of that. Then press your arms forward and open in your hug a tree, but allow your spine to extend and flex. I think this is a little more manageable to add the spine to it if you're sitting down on your feet like I am. And then we can add being up. Yeah, rounding, extend, letting the chest open. And then if you want to add coming up onto your knees, you just have to be mindful that you're staying controlled. One more time. And then bringing the arms down and back behind you. Once you're there, come up onto your knees if you aren't. See if you can press one arm forward and then bring it back, and then the other. And maybe it's a small range, and that's okay. I'm gonna turn and look in that direction. You can use a little momentum here and press and return. 4 more. 4. Rotate to look away. Feel like you're picking up the front of your pelvis, so it's really tall. And last one. And then return. Set the straps back down. Switch to a half spring if you aren't on a half spring. Turn around to face the other direction. Hands up against, knees up against the shoulder rest and hands on the railing. And just start with flexing the hips. We'll feel pretty light and neutral. And then to make it a little more challenging, flex the spine, round your back, and do the same thing. So you're trying to keep the torso from the upper body from moving, trying to draw up on the low abs to pull the carriage forward. Round your back, cat back. There we go. And if you're smacking the carriage into your wrist, then you need to step your hands further forward or add more spring tension. You might be getting stronger from all these classes you're taking, I would hope. And so you might need to change the springs over time. Now try to go from neutral into flexion. So you start in neutral, you round the pelvis under the carriage moves as you pull into your cat back, you return and you lengthen back out. And again, rounding the pelvis under, scoop and lift up through the abs, return, lengthen through the spine. And round and flex the spine, lengthen back out. One more time. And then stepping off of your reformer, you can decide in a second if you need to add spring tension, but hold on to the shoulder rest while you step inside the straps and the rails. You're gonna be here, same thing. It's still that curl of the pelvis and lengthening through the pelvis. So you're articulating the spine. Instead of it just being an arm pull, that's not exactly what I want. I want you to feel like your pelvis initiates the movement and then your pelvis returns from tail to head. Yeah, and if it's too light, add your quarter spring to that. So it gets a little heavier. Curl, yeah, and then lengthen out and stay low with the pelvis and lengthen through the spine. So your upper body is above your lower body. You're not trying to be horizontal with the torso. Stick your butt out, Carrie. Yeah, there. Tail feathers kind of stick out at the end. Reaching through. One more time. And then without smacking it into your knees, wide across the collarbones, pull your elbows apart like you're pulling the elbows to the sides of the room, and extend your spine at the same time. Extend your upper spine, elbows go wide. Extend the upper spine, elbows go wide. One more. Then round your back into the cat stretch, elbows point straight back, and you pull, you just stay in the cat stretch. Try not to change the weight through the legs. Trying to stay in your cat back. Not so hard for the arms, but should feel like something's working through the rest of the body. If it's too easy, take one hand away. Switch hands if you're doing one hand. One more. And then return carefully, step out of the straps and switch to your half spring, side arm springs. So if you come up to kneeling, strap in the outside hand and pulling the strap across and onto the high diagonal, and then bending back across. So drawing a sword from one hip, you pull it out and you pull it up through and out to the opposite side. And pressing up. Nice. About 3 more. Make sure your neck is easy so your head isn't tense, neck isn't tense. And then taking the strap in the other hand, scoot a little bit closer to the foot bar. And then you're just bringing your arm across towards the midline. It's not a big range of motion. If this range of motion feels pretty good, you can grab up higher on the rope, but you're bringing your arm across towards the midline, back out. Yeah, try to keep your arm as straight as possible. Good. Two more. And last one. And scoot a little closer to the shoulder rest, and outside hand is going to press up and out. Usually a little harder. You're going like straight down from your hip out to the side, so like a jumping jack kind of motion of the arm. And then rest. Let's just do those 3 on the other side. So turning around the face the other direction, starting with your drawing a sword. So you're from one inside hip out to that high diagonal, and hip to high diagonal. And wide across the front of the collarbones. Get really tall. One more time. Move away from the shoulder rest and bring your arm across on the diagonal. So from hip to pulleys is kind of the direction you're moving in. It's not a huge range of motion. The closer you are to the edge of the carriage by the springs, the more room you have to move. You can always grab up higher on the rope. We can always add more spring tension as well. One more time. Switch to the other hand and slide closer to the shoulder rest and press out from there. Go up as high as it feels like you can control it and bring it back down to the side of the waist. And as you press out, you can always assist the rope a little bit if you have a moment that is particularly hard for you. And as you continue, trying to make it really smooth. And last one. And bringing the strap back. Grab your block or your pillow and put it on the headrest. You can adjust the headrest any angle you want. One red spring. And we're going to lay on our sides with our head on that block. And top foot in the strap. On the heavier side of what we usually do here. So with this one red spring, we're not going to do a million reps. We want to see how our strength is progressing. So alternating between the leg going straight forward and straight back, and bending in and straightening back out. Forward and back, bend in towards tabletop, press out. And as you continue, trying to feel like you're connecting into the torso. So as you're moving, you're keeping long and active through the rest of the body. Feel like you're trying to touch something with your foot as you do that sweeping of the leg forward, like you're trying to touch the wall in front of you, then the wall underneath you. And one more time. And then come into that bend and stretch. Bend and press out. Add a little lift lower. Bend in, press out, arcing out and up. Two more. And last one. Keep this strap on this foot and roll onto your back. Carefully, obviously. Take the block out, probably not very comfortable with it there. Bring your leg right up to your tabletop position and take both legs into a bicycling tabletop. You can flex or point or both. Pushing and pulling. Notice how close the rope gets to your face. When we go on to the next part, you want to make sure you don't hit yourself with the rope. The free leg is going to come to tabletop. The other leg is going to press out. Lift up the midline, circle away from the midline and around. Has to be kind of high so you don't hit yourself in the face. Lift up, out, and around. Up, out, and around. One more time this direction. Reverse. Away from the midline, down that midline. Nice. Let's do two more. And one last time. And then hold that leg in tabletop. Bring both legs into tabletop, actually. Turn your legs out. And then keep that turn out as you bend and bring the leg back into the midline. So it's like you're trying to not move the carriage as the leg goes out to half of a V or stag position, and bring it back in, and stag, and bring it back in. Then if you'd like to add to it, you're going to stay turned out, lift the leg up the midline, circle it turned out away from the midline. Again, watch your face. Up, out. You're trying to find that stag moment somewhere in there. Up, out. Of course, you could do this parallel if turned out is not working for you. And then reverse. Up and up. And then bend your legs in. You can put your free foot on the bar. Take the strap that's on that foot and put it on the hand on the same side that the strap is coming from. So it was just crossing your body. Now it's not going to cross your body anymore. Lift your legs up to tabletop and push down through that single arm. Should be about half the resistance that you normally use for your mid-back series. So legs are in tabletop, you're pressing through the back of the arm. If it helps you to have both arms moving, you could do that. On the next one, bring the arm down by the side, keep it there, bend and straighten the elbow. Tricep press. Even though this is asymmetrical in terms of the load and the pull, you're going to stay very centered. Last two. And last one. And then bring the carriage back in. Take your free hand and slip it in the strap on top of the other hand. Lift the legs up to tabletop. If you're pinned in against the shoulder rest, feel free to wiggle away. But you're gonna come up and across the outside of the thigh and then lower back down to the center. Up and across. Awesome. And center off. If you'd like to add the opposite leg extending, I'm extending the leg that I'm not going towards. So I'm going towards my left outer leg, my right leg extends. Exactly. If you want it to be even harder, you could extend both legs. Two more. And last one. And then come all the way back in. You can put that strap back, sit all the way up to find your block. And you're gonna roll over to lay on the second side. Once you get there, you can put the top strap that's in front of you on the top foot. Press your leg out, find your neutral alignment, bottom leg's tucked underneath you, alternating between the leg coming straight forward and bending in towards tabletop and pushing back out towards the corner of the foot bar. Leg goes straight forward, back towards the corner of the foot bar, bend into tabletop, back towards the corner of the foot bar. And again. And smooth it out so one movement connects into the next, so they're all part of one sentence, so to speak, instead of individual words. Using your breath to help you. Good. We'll do one more. Bend in, press out, leg goes forward, leg comes back towards the corner of the foot bar. Bend your leg in like you just did, press your leg out and do that little lift lower from the outside of the hip. Bend in towards tabletop, press back out, lift towards the ceiling, back down towards the springs. Up, down. Up, down. Bend, stretch, up, down. Two more. And last one. And then bend your leg in, slowly, carefully roll onto your back and take the block out from underneath your head. Come into your tabletop position and start with bend and stretch. You can add the legs going in opposition right away. The line of pull is coming from across the body, so there's more work of the outer hip, subtle, but more work of the outer hip to keep everything from getting pulled towards the side that the rope is coming from. Push and pull. And then bend the free leg, reach the strap leg out, go up in your circle, out, down, and around. Only go as low as you can keep it from hitting you in the nose. Up the midline, your leg loops. It's making kind of a capital D shape. Last one this direction. And then switch directions, out, up, and around, down on the diagonal. One more. And then turn both legs out in tabletop position. And then extend and bend the leg that has a strap on it without moving the carriage. So you have to use some internal connecting to keep from shifting off center as the leg wants to move. From there, we can go to a long lever the whole time. So you push the leg out on the diagonal, staying turned out, go up the midline and make those big capital Ds. Staying turned out, feeling like you keep the back of the part of your legging that's behind the back of the knee, that part stretched way out. And then reverse. One more time. And then you can put your free foot on the foot bar, grab the strap in the hand on the same side the strap is coming from, lift both legs up to tabletop and press the arm down along the side. Arm is coming straight down and straight up, like mid-back series. And one more time. Hold the arm down by the hip, bend and straighten the elbow. As you're bending and straightening, trying to feel that connection through the back of the upper arm. Using your breath to help you. If you want to add one leg extending, you always have that as an option to make things a little more difficult. Two more. And then bring the carriage in. Slip the other hand on top of that hand, lift the legs up to tabletop, push the arms down along the outside of that thigh, and then lower back down. If you're getting pinned against the shoulder rest, adjust. Reach past your legs towards the foot bar. If you added the single leg extending on the other side, you probably should here as well. And 4, 3, last one. Here it is. And then coming up from there, roll off of there to your side and turn around to face the back of the reformer. Your one red spring should be good. And space behind you on the carriage, so you have a little bit of room, hands distance behind you. Legs can be crossed if necessary. Take your hands and pull your hands into your chest as you round back through your lower back. Yeah, and then just lift yourself back up. So pull the hands into the chest, lift your elbows kind of up, rounding back, and then sitting up tall. So there's an opposition between the feet reaching forward and the abs curling back. And one more time, rounding back. Stay down there once you get back there. Drop your elbows and do a few bicep curls here. So using the abdominals as you bicep curl. Yeah, think of abs and then arms. If you want this to be harder, you could do one arm at a time. You can also lift the elbows up a little higher. That might make it a little more challenging. And then come back forward over your legs and stack back up. Legs can be however they're comfortable, airplane. So arms are reaching out to the side and coming back in front of you. Palms can face down, palms can face forward. Trying to feel like you're reaching longer between the fingertips and spreading the space between the shoulder blades. Nice. And then let's all hold on to the strap so that when we push out, our hands are facing forward. And when you push out, one hand is going to go high, one's going to go low diagonal. One high, one low. Try not to lean back. Stay as vertical as you can. Yeah. Nice. Two more. One more on each side. Finish up even. And then return. Switch the crossing of your legs if your legs are crossed over each other. Put the strap that's in your left hand, put that strap down and grab, I think it's easiest either to put your fingers through the metal D-ring or fold the strap in half and then grab a hold of that big chunk of it. So like a rowing motion, you're going to stay facing forward even though the pulley is coming across your body. Exactly. So you're holding, that's right, Anita. So as long as you hold with the opposite arm, you're good. Yep. Yeah, exactly, everybody. And then start to add a little rotation in both directions. If it's helpful to you to do a little reach through the arm, usually gives you a little bit more the feeling of rotation. Rotate one way, rotate the other, rotate one way, rotate the other. And last one. And then instead of your elbow pulling out to the side, I want it to pull straight down by your side. So low row and then high row. So out to the side with the elbow. So out to the side, down by the side, out to the side, down by the side. So you're alternating between low and high row. Staying square to the front. I'm trying to keep the connection in the back of the body happening as the arm is going back forward. One more of each. And then putting that strap down, switch to the other strap, fold the strap in half or grab your fingers through that D-ring and just start with a row. Try as the arm goes forward, you're not letting yourself get pulled into rotation yet. Exactly. If you're running out of range of motion, like if you can't take your arm all the way forward before it hits the stopper, like Anita, I think you could back up more and you'd have a bigger range of motion. Yeah. I want you to feel like you can stretch your arm all the way out. And then we're going to add the rotation. Rotating one way, rotating the other way. And last one. And then alternating between high row with the elbow and low row. Elbow goes out towards shoulder height to the side. Elbow goes down by the side of the rib cage. Elbow goes out and forward and down. Connecting to the back of the shoulder. Each time the carriage returns towards the stopper, you're working a little bit harder through the back of the shoulder to keep everything back there connected. One more of each. And then returning the carriage. You're going to turn around to face towards the foot bar, kneeling on the carriage. You're going to add another spring for knee stretches. So rounding your back, scooping through the abdominals, hollowing out the abdomen. Push and pull. So your face is kind of staying still in space. Whatever part of the springs you're looking at, you keep looking at that same spot. You're just moving in the hip joint, round your back into your cat back, Anita. Yeah. Awesome. And then as you do this, try not to get lower and lower by pushing out through the arms. Look at me for 1 second. So this wants to happen where we get flat. Try to keep the elbows bent in your upper body from flattening out. It's a lot more work that way. I think that's why we all kind of lock out the arms. One more. And then bring the carriage in, step up into your elephant with high half toe position of the feet. Round your back, still round back as much as you can. Push the carriage out, pull the carriage in. Rounding through the spine as much as you can, feeling like you're lifting up the bottom ribs, like there's a campfire on the carriage. You're trying to lift your belly up away from. Yeah, awesome. And then we're going to do a second set of both of these exercises. You can do them exactly what you just did, or you can do the round back hovering knees version of knee stretches. So you just lower down and then you try to keep round as you push, pull. Bend your elbows and bring your upper body forward, Anita, and round your back more. Round, 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 round. If you can't, then it's too heavy. So think of getting your butt down, I think, is the key. That looks awesome, Carrie. Yes. Last one. And then when you come back in, we can do the flat foot version of elephant. You can either do round back, that's a little less hamstring length, flexibility required, or you can do a straight back where you're kind of downward dog style. Huge calf stretch usually. Awesome, everyone. Yeah, nice, Anne. Keep lifting through the sternum, so you're like sending your eyes forward towards the wooden platform of the reformer so that you keep lifting the chest. Yeah, nice. If you want to, we're going to do a couple more. If you want it to be a little harder, just step your feet a little bit further forward from the shoulder rests. Much more hamstring length required, a lot more push required to be able to get the carriage to move. Three more. Awesome, everyone. And then bring the carriage back in, set your knees down. We're gonna bring the foot bar down, switch to one red spring or your side split springs. Put the platform over the spring up against the wooden platform, and then carefully step up onto the platform and then on the carriage. Start with pushing the carriage out just a little bit, bending the knees into a squat position, holding this position, trying to hold the outer hips so you're pushed away from the shoulder, the stopper, and you're trying to hold from the outer hips. So holding, you're just holding, it's not touching the stopper. You're trying to feel the outer hips and the legs working here. And then pumping the carriage leg out and in. Push, pull. Nice. Yeah, lengthen through your spine and find that long line of the spine. Three, two, last one. Come back in, squeeze against the stopper, stand up really tall, push the arms and legs apart, and then pull yourself all the way back in, trying to not bounce or crash into the stopper. So you're pulling up that midline through the inner thighs each time, all the way back in. Two more. And last one, come all the way back in. Bend both knees again. Now the platform leg's gonna push out a little, skating, and then the carriage leg comes in. So it's like one leg is going towards straight, then the other kind of towards straight. Push, pull. Push, pull. Push, pull. And last two. And last one. And come all the way back in. Turn around to face the other direction. Place your feet near the edge of the carriage and the platform and push the carriage out just a little bit. Come down into your squat position and hold that squat position. Holding your squat position, bend your knees, you're in your squat, and you're trying to not hold it against the stopper. Taking a few breaths here. And then you're gonna pump the carriage leg out, push and pull. Carriage presses and pulls in, and press, pull in. Last two. And last one, bring it all the way back in, squeeze against the stopper, lift up really tall, then push out through the arms and the legs, staying really lifted vertically through the pelvis. Last two. And last one. Bend both knees again, push out from the platform leg, then pull in by straightening the carriage leg. And you're not really straightening maybe all the way, that's okay. You're just going towards straight. One leg is going more into a straight position to push out, and then the other is. So that kind of side to side motion of skating. And you said you just got 12 inches or something of snow last night. So here you go, you're skating today. One more time. And then bringing the carriage all the way back in. Turn towards the carriage. Put one foot on the front edge of the carriage and then push the carriage out. It should feel kind of light, like it's not hard to bend the standing leg to push the carriage out. And then you're just gonna be pumping the front leg. Most of your weight's on the back leg. Yeah, and if that's not gonna work for you, feel free to do something else. If you want to have a little bit more weight and force, put your toes on the edge of the carriage. You can kind of hold on better, and so you'll be able to get it out further. 3. And bring it back in, kind of like the chair exercise that you may have done before. And push out, bend the standing leg, and then pumping that front leg either on the top of the carriage, or toes can creep back to the edge so that you have a little bit further to push. Push, pull. Yeah, awesome, everyone. 3, 2, and last one, and come all the way back in. And then standing on both feet, nod your chin and roll through your spine. You're gonna touch the carriage, walk your hands forward until you're in like your leg pull front prep position. So knees bent, knees under the hips. And then from there, just push out from the legs, bend the legs in. Well, I like your platform, Carrie. Awesome. And push, pull. When you get tired, set your knees down, take a moment break, and we're gonna do that again. Awesome. And when you need a break, take a break. You can also pull against the shoulder rest and kind of stretch your lower back. Good. If you want to progress this, take like the L of your hand against the shoulder rest and push out to your plank. Hold your plank, push and pull the arms. And you can bring it back in when you need a break. We'll do that one more time. You also could bring your hands on top of the shoulder rests, if that sounds better to you. Seems like it'd be easier, but it doesn't feel easier. And last moment, bringing the legs back in and turn around to face the other direction. Put your hands on the platform. If you need to do single thigh stretch standing on the floor, you can. Otherwise, toes to the edge of your platform, push out. You can walk your hands back and kind of walk out on the rails so that you can make it bigger. I have my foot at the edge of the platform so that I'm not pushing straight down into it, but I'm able to push a little forward. Yeah, see if that helps. That looks better. And then come back in, slowly walk back up. One more time, push out, walking your hands out, stretching the legs apart, and walking your hands carefully back in. Don't run over your thumbs. And switch to the other leg. You kind of have to aim your foot where there's not a spring directly underneath it, so that you can drop your heel and walk your hands out. Take a breath. Bowing forward, walk your hands back in. And again, pushing out. Big stretch. And walking your hands back in. And then coming onto your hands and knees. Find hands under shoulders, knees under the hips. You can be on the platform or on the wood, whichever works better for you. And just push your hips out until you come into some extension and then come back in. So you're trying to make your body go into some extension that feels good to you today. So you're kind of pushing your hips open and lifting your heart like we were doing at the beginning, but obviously bigger. And twice more. Extend the hips, lift the sternum in the chest. And last one. And then come all the way back in. Sit back towards your heels. Do a little shell stretch, whatever feels good to you. And then you can swing your legs off the side, do anything else you need, but you're all done. Awesome work. Thank you, guys.